All right, here we are at another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies. So, Pete, you don't know this, but I have gotten a lot of feedback from our new intro and our new exit on the podcast.
Oh, really?
That it is very patriotic.
Oh, yes.
And this is exactly what I wanted because you and I are very patriotic.
Surely.
And what we do is very American.
For all the right reasons.
Exactly. Okay, we're on podcast number 433. The title of this podcast is How to Wholesale Lease Options for Gargantuan Profits.
Okay.
Here's a description. Exposed. The underground creative real estate strategy creating a whole wave of folks with jobs firing their bosses. Want to know why the elite in real estate are desperate to keep these instant cash generating strategies under wrap? And this episode, explosive episode, we are ripping back the curtain on the virtually unknown real estate strategy that's creating 5 to 6 figure paychecks without a license, without money to invest, and without taking on 1 ounce of debt. But there is a warning. This is not your typical wholesaling strategy. When we reveal this easy step-by-step blueprint that's helping regular folks get gargantuan profits on a consistent basis, you will feel like this is the most valuable thing you have heard year to date. By the way, this strategy is 1,000% legal and has been around for hundreds of years. If you are looking for an extra $3,000, $5,000, $10,000, or more per month, working a couple hours per week, then this is a must listen to for you. So stay tuned because here we go. Okay, so first thing we got to do is housekeeping. Or we could skip it. Our plan, or my plan, which seems to be getting narrower and narrower, is somewhere around podcast number 450. We don't go public. We will have a public podcast, but it will be on our app, which will be hyro.fm. So if you're an avid listener or a regular listener, I suggest you go download that app, or you could do it when we go over there. Basically, the difference is I want to pull it in a bit, and I want to talk to people that are ready to do deals. I want to talk to people that are not just surfing the internet. I want to talk to people that I can help. So I'm going to wind it down and just kind of put it in one spot. And it's either you know about us or you don't, right? So we will be doing that soon. But in the meantime, we do record this podcast on a live stream on Thursday mornings, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And when we do that, we live stream on Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn. You can just find us by going to Flipping Houses for Rookies on any one of those platforms. If you're watching us during the live stream, I provoke you to ask questions wherever you can type in on those chats, and I will answer those questions. If it's outside of the scope of this podcast, I will ask that you go over to either Flipping Houses for Rookies or creativereply.com and just hit the support chat up there. Both of those websites have a lot of good stuff there. They have free stuff, all kinds of stuff to be able to help you as a creative real estate investor, so you should go check them out anyways. In the meantime, subscribe to us wherever you're watching us or liking us. Wherever you're subscribing to us or listening to us. And make sure you leave a review and all that good stuff that you're supposed to do as a good little podcast listener.
Yeah.
Okay? Bada bing, we're done. Okay, now we get into the meat and potatoes.
Okay.
So, Pete, let's kick off with this. If you fully, and I mean fully, what does that mean?
Well, that'd be maybe something like 100% like.
Yeah, completely. You know? Yeah, completely understand real estate transactions. You will, somewhere along your journey, realize that that real estate, you'll realize somewhere along your journey that real estate is made to take money out of it, not put money into it. Mm. If you're doing it the right way and if you've learned how to do it. Right? But what happens if you're not like real estate geeks like us, and you don't study it like I do? It's more me than you, because I do a lot more on all the research and studying, and I've made it my entire whole life. I mean, it is my whole life. And you used to tease me about that. Our friend Jay, he tells me all the time, I wish I had a passion like you have for real estate, right? Because I just love it. So what happens if you're not me? What happens if you don't have that mad passion? What happens if you're just kind of like skimming by and you just want to like make some dough, right? Mm-hmm. In other words, what are the cliff notes from guys like me, right? So you can earn a 5-figure paycheck in the next 30 days, right? And handle those alligators chomping away at your neck, right? Trying to take you out like a 4-alarm fire. Now, I can't imagine that's happening to anybody that's listening to us. Can you, Pete?
Not even thinking of it. Waking up every day like la-di-dee, la-di-da. Can't wait to have another big fat win today. Just piling them up.
Liar, liar, pants on fire.
Ow, my pants are on fire.
If this is you, boy, have you stumbled onto the exact right podcast that could change your financial future forever. No bullshit. So today, I want to geek out on 4 things. Number 1, what is the most powerful real estate document in the system? What is the most powerful document in real estate?
It's not a check, is it?
No. I didn't even think of that. I wouldn't consider that a document.
No, I'm kidding. But it'll get you there.
And how will it make any rookie or pro rich? The most powerful document, and how will it make any rookie or pro rich? And I can tell you that if you listen to me enough, I might be a broken record, but there's a reason why, and we're going to talk about that today. Number 2, how you can stack these deals and fill your pipeline so you can rely on consistent income and absolutely, positively, definitely fire that boss. Or if you're self-employed, get rid of that other annoying income that you don't like. Number 3, my step-by-step profit multiplier system that turns $100 bills into $3,000 to $100,000 returns in 30 days. Yeah, take that, Mr. Stockbroker. Can you do that? Nah. You can't do that. Number 4, the exact method we use that turns all cash-minded sellers into terms deals like selling water on a desert. What do you think? These might be some topics our listeners might want to hear.
Them's mighty powerful words.
Yeah? You sure? We don't have to do this, Peter, if you're not excited.
Well, I'm listening. No, when you do that, I'm guessing, I think I know what the answer to number 1 is. 2, I'll see what he says. 3, no idea. 4, maybe. Go ahead. Let us have it. Go ahead. Just go for it.
Let's just dive right into number 1, okay? So number one is the most important document in real estate that will make rookies and pros rich. In fact, I left out the realtors because this will make realtors rich too.
Oh.
Yeah. They can strongly benefit from this as well. See, I don't think that I will ever feel like my audience will understand my honesty and integrity. Because usually when people talk about they're honest, they aren't, right?
Oh, yeah. If you can't even say it. Like, why are you saying it? Yeah.
Probably the most beneficial part of my life that has been a godsend for me is I talk to a lot of our end users. So like recently, Sean's my partner in Creative REI Replay, has bamboozled me, lassoed me, tied me up like the strongest cow in the herd. And I'm in the middle of the ring all tied up. But he did me a favor. See, we've decided for Creative REI Replay where we stopped selling the software. You can no longer buy the software.
Mm-hmm.
So what we do now is we actually sell leads. And I didn't realize this until yesterday, and I'm going to tell you this in a minute. I'm going to get off this because this has nothing to do with the podcast. I did some math yesterday talking to a client.
Yeah.
The deal that he's buying creative real estate motivated leads for 21 cents a piece in our system. Because of the volume.
Mm-hmm.
My point in saying this is between what we've been doing is because we stopped selling real estate is we do a one-on-one demo for 45 minutes. It's just Sean and I. We had salespeople. We got rid of them all. It's just him and I. Ground floor innovation. So every day I talk to sometimes 2 or 3 people that are completely come from all walks of life that do real estate. So I hear lots of stories. Plus, I coach for myself. So I'm face-to-face with coaching clients. Plus, I coach for Creative REI Replay every Thursday night. We have a 90-minute call. Plus, I coach for a friend of mine that has dozens of people on his call. So I feel like I'm blessed because when I come to this podcast, it's not me talking. It's things that I've heard in the industry from all walks of life. And I feel blessed from that. And I'm ranting on this for a couple reasons because these podcasts have not become me anymore. I'm not writing these podcasts anymore. I'm just a facilitator and the voice. What we talk about in these podcasts is innovating to today's time. It's what's going on right now. And it's amazing to me when I write them how things change. And you say that too. Like yeah. I was gonna repurpose one of the podcasts that we did, on how to do slot deals, right? Sandwich lease option transfer. So we're on podcast 433. So I went into the system. If you go to flippinghousesforrookies.com/podcast, you can there's a search engine there. So I typed in slot. So there was a podcast we did at podcast number 245. So I dug in. I have all my notes. I have everything written. I dug out the folders. So there's folders that are this thick. And I went back like 3 folders or 4 folders, and I got a podcast number 245. And I read it, and I'm like, I can't do that. I was floored at how much advancement we've made.
Yeah. I thought the same thing. Like, you have all these podcasts over the years, and then, I see some of the old stuff, some of the old software, some of the old scripts, some of the old, it's like, you can't go back.
Right. So back to the podcast. This document I'm talking about is an option agreement.
Yes.
Okay. Now, here's why it's so vital. Right? And I have to be careful not to come off my notes because I'll ramble on this, because I'm telling you, you don't have to. I strongly suggest that you take what I'm about to tell you under serious consideration, because I didn't for 25 or 26 years. I didn't do this. You used to tell me all the time, options, we never use those.
Right.
Right?
No, we had all the workshops and meetups, live, the board.
I feel like we missed a lot of deals. We missed a lot of deals. And I'm going to tell you the reason why.
Yeah.
So first of all, an option means that the seller is giving you the right to sell, but not the obligation. So that in itself is just flipping amazing.
Well, yeah, you want to make money without worrying. Have a document that lets you make money and not get you stuck on the hook if something doesn't go the way you want. Like, thank you, never mind.
My partner in Creative REI Replay, he's got a Lamborghini. He's real proud of it.
Okay.
That's like me saying, hey, can I drive your car for a little while?
Mm-hmm.
This is what it's like.
Mm.
Can I borrow your house for a little while so I can go see if I can make $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, $50,000? I mean, come on. And it's completely legal and been around for hundreds of years.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's why this document is so critical to your success. This is new, and I can't believe I didn't see this a long time ago, because I've been talking about this recently a lot.
Yeah.
Buyers bring all the money to the table and pay you, the seller, and every other aspect of the deal. So if you're not making money with real estate, there's only one reason: you don't have buyers making you offers.
Mm.
And the only way to attract buyers like bees to pollen is to have a house that interests them. Which means we need inventory.
Mm.
Which is why we're the only ones that talk a lot about doing this with just pretty houses. This is why we only deal with pretty houses.
Mm.
Let the other guys go rehab them. Right? So if you don't have inventory to show sellers, you'll never attract a buyer with dough to pay you. So if you've been doing creative real estate for 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years, 30 years, and haven't made money yet, it's because you're on the wrong side of the dog. The dog is wagging his tail instead of you wagging the dog. You're on the wrong side of the equation, because learning how to get a house in inventory, subject to owner, financing, all these things, if you're trying to learn how to do that, you're doing it wrong. You need to test before you invest. This is what the option agreement is absolutely perfect for doing. It allows you to get the rights to sell someone's house without the obligation, so that you can find out what are the buyers interested in.
Mm.
You do that before you do a subject to deal and take a deed and then find out, oops, they're building a nuclear plant in the backyard. I guess I shouldn't have bought that. Now what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Right? Which means you need proven ways to get consignment deals. Right? Now, I'm not sure that I've completely described this consignment thing enough. So I'm going to take another shot at it.
Mm.
This is like a kid wanting to sell lemonade, but has no lemons and no sugar. He's got the water.
Ah.
He's got the place to sell it, but he doesn't have lemons and water. So he goes to a neighbor, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking of like Leave It to Beaver type of thing here. He goes to a neighbor, right?
Yeah.
What's his name? Mr. The guy that lives next door. I forgot his name.
Yeah.
He goes next door to the neighbor, and he gets the neighbor to put up the lemons and the sugar.
Mm-hmm.
And then he makes lemonade. He sells the lemonade, and he has an agreed amount with the neighbor on how much he'll pay per glass that he sells or per lemon that he uses.
Mm.
But how did he make money on his lemonade?
Well, he kind of borrowed the materials that he needed. He made a deal with somebody who had the materials, who wasn't doing anything or couldn't sell them. They made a deal to do something with it, and they split the profit, in a sense. They made a deal.
This is true. So I'm not going to go into this whole dissertation because this will take another 15 minutes, but I read a book from an economist, and his prediction after predicting the early 1900s to the mid 1900s, early 1900s, he says that all the millionaires then weren't billionaires. All the millionaires they would make their money on resources, like oil and gas and all that kind of coal, all that kind of stuff, right? Steel.
Steel.
And then by the mid 1900s, they made their money on production, right? It was innovative to make production, make a dress that they could sell for $20 instead of $200.
Mm-hmm.
And he said by the time the end of the century came, and he got into 2000, he said there's going to be a lot of production, a lot of manufacturing going on because they're going to have it figured out and they're going to make it cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. Mm. So we're going to have too many products, and the new billionaires are going to be the guys that can distribute the products. Mm. And sure as hell, along comes Amazon and all these other businesses that in the early 20th century, I don't know if it's 20th century, but the early 2000s have become billionaires. Mm. So this makes me think, that's us. The only place you can distribute a house right now is with a realtor, and that's unwinding as we speak because of all the lawsuits and the dishonesty and the skullduggery that's going on.
And the Zillow taking over as best they can.
Right. And to completely, I know we're way off topic, but just because I feel like I have to say this, I have a prediction, a very, very strong, hardcore prediction. Mm-hmm. It is now the year 2024. You come back and listen to this podcast in 2 months from now. You come back and listen to this podcast in 2 years from now, and I will tell you this prediction will be 100% correct.
What's that?
The new world, because there is a new world evolving right now. We're in November of 2024. November of 2024. Yep. And I like my podcast not to be dated a lot of times because, but I am dating it right now because of this prediction. The new world will be formed because of transparency in sunlight. The new world is going to be formed because all of the secrets are going to come out. The world is going to transform because people who have been behind the shadows and behind the curtains will no longer be able to control this world and control you and your buying habits and all that kind of stuff. The new world will be truth. The new world will be evidence. Governments will be changed and cities will be changed, and the world, the marketing that we get involved in, TV stations, news stations, all of it is going to change. And it's going to go into private, I think like Fox and CNBC and CBS, they're done. They're all done. They don't even know it. They're done.
Mm. Now, some of them are talking about it, like the other guy's gone, but podcasts, look what's happening with podcasts.
There will be a new way for us to get the truth, because America is done, is tired with being scammed.
Yeah.
And they are looking for the truth. And that's my prediction. I have no idea why I just said that, other than that's how I feel. But I'm telling you, this is what's going to happen. So this option agreement allows you to get inventory legally, right? And attract and show buyers why and how they should pay you your 5-figure paychecks. Okay? So the option agreement, and I'm going to continue on with this because I'm not done with this yet. I have to tell you, there are aspects of the option agreement that we have not talked about that need to be revealed. They're just, an axiom. An axiom is a law because it just is. Like gravity is an axiom. Do you have to explain what gravity is? No, you just pick something up and let it go and it falls. That's the truth. That's an axiom. That's a law that you don't have to explain, because if you let something go on planet Earth, gravity will push it down.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to explain it.
Yep.
Right? That's the way an option agreement is. You don't have to explain it. Once you understand it, it just is the best document in real estate. Okay, now let's address number 2. How and why you should stack these deals and create a profit pipeline that spits off 5-figure paychecks consistently. As an example, let's look at the realtor system.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They make money by signing listing agreements and posting them on the MLS. There have been dozens of books written on how to become a very wealthy realtor, which, by the way, I will tell you, because this is my world, there are 2 kinds of realtors. There's a realtor that makes 1 deal or 2 deals a year, or less, we'll say less than 8 or 10 deals a year.
Yeah.
And they make, $10,000, $20,000 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And the other realtor is the one that does 30 to 50 deals a year and makes $500,000. Those are the only 2 kinds of realtors there are.
Yeah.
There's nothing in between. Honestly.
It seems like a lot of, and I know some of them, they're friends of mine. Like, I'm a realtor. Oh, yeah? Can you help me with something? I'm in New York this weekend. Can you help me with something? I'm with my girlfriends. It's like a status symbol to get like a realtor label,
right?
But they don't really do it. But the other guys really dig in because they're really serious about it.
So the books are written on how to become one of those $500,000 realtors. And the way you do that is to get listing agreements. Get listings. In other words, on consignment. They pay nothing to get this property to present it to their buyer.
Mm-hmm.
And because of the way it's been for so long, which has changed, which is a whole nother podcast, because it's stupid as hell to me why the realtor system did what they did, because they put themselves out of business by sharing their MLS system on all the other realtor.com and all these other places.
Yeah.
It's stupid why they did that. But the point is this. They get a listing, they put it on the MLS. The MLS attracts buyers via other agents, right? Now, let's back up for a second, because I could babble on this for the next 2 hours. I could do a half-a-day lecture or a whole day lecture just on this one point, right? I think on the internet they call this affiliate marketing.
Yeah.
Somebody else has a product and someone is selling it for them and getting a commission.
Mm-hmm.
This is like affiliate marketing on the internet. Let me sell your product for you. How much commission will you give me? Interesting, right?
True.
So the more listing contracts they get, the more they post on the MLS, the more chances they have of ding, 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 ding. I got a paycheck.
Sure.
Right? It's just the realtor system. Deny it or not, that's what happens.
No, that's smart business of any kind. You know, I know somebody who works in one of those battery stores. They only sell batteries.
Yeah.
That didn't last too long. They had to find other things to sell. You can't just do that.
Right.
So you can't have limited inventory or only one type of, you know, you go to a supermarket, there's all this stuff so you go there. So a realtor or anybody has to have more things to sell. How are you going to make money with like not much to sell? It's like going to work and having 1 hour to work a day. That ain't working. That's not good.
Well, it's good if you're making $1 billion a year, but
no, if you have a jobbity job, you go for an hour. The boss goes, I got nothing else here today. Like, oops. So they deal in hours. We deal with business, you know, materials or services, something to sell. You got to have a lot of hours, materials, abundance of some kind.
Exactly. Now, here's an interesting point, Peter.
Mm-hmm.
When you sign an option agreement with a seller for a minimum of a 5% discount, where'd we get that number from? Because that's what a realtor would charge, right? 5% commission. Well, we can't charge commissions, but we can get a discount.
Right. They kind of do it the other way.
You need to consummate the deal with legal tender. Consummate means make it real, right? Make it legal, right? So the law says when you sign an option agreement, you need legal tender to consummate the deal. So in other words, you need legal tender to make it a real deal.
Yeah.
So legal tender means paper money, which is a whole nother 4-day podcast in itself because it's against the law to print paper money in the United States. The Constitution of the United States says that we cannot print paper money. Just go online and look for the YouTube video called The Creature from Jekyll Island, and you will be blown away. That's another podcast. So here's the thing. You need to give paper money to make this option agreement stick, to make it legal. So that means in my world, that paper money is anywhere from $1 to $100. We are going to cap it at $100. We do not want you to give more than $100 because you don't need to.
Right.
Now, here's the interesting part. Once you give the seller your $100, it's considered a non-refundable option consideration deposit. They do this in the stock market. I don't have time to explain that right now, but this has been in the stock market for years. Which, by the way, they got it from real estate.
Oh, it came around that way, huh?
Well, options have been around for 100 years.
Yeah.
Thousands of years. I mean, they were around in Roman times.
Yeah.
Right? So when you pay $1 or $100 of option consideration deposit, you now have that much money in equity of the house. So you have an equity share of $1 into this property, or $100 into this property. You have an equity share in this property. Now, the law, the United States law, not state law, the United States law says if you have an equity share in a property, you are allowed to sell it yourself without a license. Doesn't say how much equity share, it just says an equity share. Now, we have a very minute equity share, but we have a small percentage of equity in the property. Which begs the question, why do realtors need the National Association of Realtors? Or a license to do what they got to do? I mean, think about it, Peter. Every realtor I know, there's the cheapest realtor that I know that pays $2,000 a year to be part of NAR, National Association of Realtors. I got one coaching client that says she pays almost $8,000. Deborah says she pays almost $8,000 a year because she's in 3 systems.
Per area.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because it's like state by state.
Now, it blows me away because I think to myself, first of all, they restrict you to whatever state or whatever city you're in with your license.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they don't restrict you, but then if you go out of another state, then you got to take another board of exams to be a licensed realtor, like a plumber, an electrician, or HVAC guy, a heating, ventilation, air conditioning guy, right?
Mm.
Or a contractor, any one of these places. Now, I understand that because these folks are talented people. That they could break your house,
Oh, yeah.
But a realtor. So why not, instead of paying $2,000 a year for a license, give a seller $100 and be in the same position?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah, because what do they get for being a member? They don't get anything, really.
Nowadays, you can promote the site more than what the MLS does.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting, right?
Crazy.
On to number 3, the profit multiplier system.
Mm-hmm.
So, if it's not clear yet, you're going to give a seller $100 for option consideration deposit money and become a minute equity share in this deal and not need a license. Plus, you're going to get the right to sell, but not the obligation, so there's no risk.
Mm-hmm.
You're risking the $100. That's what you're risking. And now you can advertise this property, house for sale, no bank qualifying, or house for sale, owner financing.
Mm-hmm.
And you attract buyers that have a minimum of 5% down. Right?
Mm-hmm.
5% of the value of the property as a non-refundable deposit, because it's considered a non-refundable option consideration deposit,
Mm-hmm.
which technically you bought an option agreement for $100 for a non-refundable option consideration deposit. You put $100 with the seller, and your buyer is going to pay you 5% of the property worth. So if it's a $300,000 house, they're going to pay you $15,000.
Yep.
So did you buy and sell a house?
Never owned it.
You only controlled it.
Yeah.
You had the right to buy it, but not the obligation. Just like being in the stock market. Apple's trading stocks for $400 a day. You get an option to buy Apple, and tomorrow it goes up to $500.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'll cash it in. I'll execute my option. I'm going to make $100. Or the price, you buy it for $400, and the price goes down to $300. You're like, oh, I'm glad I didn't buy those stocks. I lost my deposit money. We'll say $10 a share or whatever.
Yeah, it's a real small amount to get for the right to go either way. If it goes down, you don't sell it. You hang on. If it goes up, you then sell it.
Right.
But if you lose, you lose $10. It's a good gamble.
So your $100, in this case, you gave the seller $100, turned into $15,000 within 30 days, because you're only doing paperwork on a pretty house to make your 5-figure paycheck, which drops us in the lap of number 4.
Mm-hmm.
How to handle sellers who want all cash, no terms on these deals I'm presenting. So what we've been talking about, and I'm going to come back to this, we've been talking about using an option with a lease.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're going to talk about using an option without a lease.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So 97% of the people you talk to say what?
They just want
cash.
They want the money. They want to go hit the road.
Oh, yeah. By the way, just in case you're curious, there's a few conversations you're going to have that are in disguise. I just want out of this house. I don't want to deal with it anymore.
Yeah.
I want cash. Well, I'm moving out of state. I just don't want to deal with it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I want all cash. Well, I'm getting divorced and I just want to be done with her.
Oh, yeah.
that's all cash.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they don't always have the balls to say I got all cash. They come up with other variations of it.
Yeah, but they don't want the connections, is what it is. They don't want to be connected to it, involved with it, thinking about it. They want all connections to sever and remove the connection that's annoying or painful or whatever it is to them.
Right. So this is where our Grand Slam offer, or my Grand Slam offer that I created. Now, I want to be very clear about this. What is a Grand Slam offer? What's an offer?
Well, it's a proposition that you're proposing, but we could do this or that.
Right. So Grand Slam offer is not a deal strategy. It is a description of a deal strategy, which is the sandwich lease option transfer.
Right.
So it's enhancing the description of the sandwich lease option transfer. I'm going to divert for 1 second, just to give you an example of this. For 30 years, we'll say, well, not 30 years. We'll say for 25 years or 26 years.
Mm-hmm.
We, meaning you, me, and all the other people I talked to, had scripts that were very delicate, talking about subject to. Oh, Mr. Seller, you're going to leave the mortgage in your name and deed me the house.
Mm-hmm.
And so many coaching clients and so many people I've helped are like, they have trouble with that.
Yeah.
And 26 years later, I realized, why would we say that? So we started saying to the seller, well, here's what's going to happen. We're going to take the property out of your name and put it into a trust. And then we're going to own and manage the trust.
Mm-hmm.
And oh yeah, by the way, the bank loves that because they think that we're doing estate planning. See, all the scripts were thrown in the fireplace with a match. Gone, poof, over.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, see, it turns out that when you do something or say something, it's raw data. But you can look at it and present it in a different way to explain it differently. That's more palatable for people. Right. Not too scary or whatever it is, but you can present it or explain it in a different way. And so our way of explaining to ourselves is one thing, but what does the seller want to hear? Right. And what you just said is what makes them happy to hear. It's easier on them.
Right.
From their viewpoint.
So this is what the Grand Slam offer is to cash deals. Mm-hmm. It's just a new way of describing it so that the seller fully understands how much money they're giving up by taking all cash, because they're giving up a ton of money
if they don't do it.
That's right. So the Grand Slam offer shows the seller, if they can wait for a minimum of 36 months to get paid off, they can get up to 70% more than market value. So if the house is worth $300,000, they can get up to $389,000 for this house by waiting 36 months. Now that rattles the greed glands if I ever heard it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It just rattles them. And what we're talking about doing is we're talking about attaching a lease to this option agreement. Right? Mm-hmm. Without any landlord obligations. So it actually puts the seller in a banker position. I mean, you wouldn't call your lender today and say, hey, it's snowing outside. You come and buy the plow?
I'm going to try it one day, though. That'd be funny.
Or you wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and the toilet's plugged. Yep. And you're not going to call them in the morning and say, hey, come unplug my toilet. Right? Not going to happen, mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah, nope.
So you're going to put the seller in a banker's position. Now, are there risk? Is there risk? I shouldn't say are. Is there risk? Yeah. I mean, you could have damage from the buyer. They could damage the house.
Yeah, but they paid a lot into it, so it's a bit of a deterrent. So that's why
they could not pay you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But here's the thing. with the Grand Slam offer, we've given them such an upside, such a profit, 70%, in this case on a $300,000 house, $89,000 worth of profit, that they're willing to tolerate the risk.
Mm-hmm.
Right? By the way, if you're curious about how to do that, there's a link in the chat. There's a link in the description. I always say the chat. That will take you to take us to our website, and there's some stuff on there. It's not exactly clear, but it shows you what's going on. Basically, what we're going to do is we're going to show the seller how they can get cash flow, how they can get principal reduction. We're going to show them how to get appreciation and depreciation on this property.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the numbers are coming from. And it's incredible to hear the numbers.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I know I'm throwing a lot at you right now, which is why I put the link in the chat. Actually, in the description. Damn, I keep saying that. Right? So there's a video that you can watch there that will walk you through how to do all this. Okay? There's pictures, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now the last thing, and probably the most vital part of this podcast at the end. So the seller is adamant about wanting cash.
Mm-hmm.
You go through the Grand Slam offer and they're like, no. Which, by the way, my friend Joe says you got to get 5 no's and 5 yeses until you're sure that you have a deal or don't have a deal.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you've gone through your 5 no's and they're like, no for terms. Right? You went through the Grand Slam offer and tried to swell their greed glands and it didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what you should do is, if you use our script, which I've given away in the past, you should explain the closing costs are between 10% and 15%.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And they will only net about 85 to 90% of their asking or selling price.
Right.
So why not give that discount to you?
Mm.
I mean, they're selling a house for $400,000 and they get and they're only going to net $360 because it's 10% for closing costs, which is $40,000.
Mm-hmm.
If I give them $360, I'm giving them full price, aren't I?
Sure.
Because that's what they would pay by the time they get done with all the closing costs, right? And oh yeah, by the way, if you're for 1 second think I'm like blowing smoke up your dress, because I have coaching clients that have challenged me on this, just go on Zillow and look on there, and it'll tell you the closing costs are 9%, 11%, 12%, 10%. It'll show you right on Zillow these days.
$30,000, $40,000, $45,000. It's right there. I'll tell people when I'm on the phone, did you look at Zillow? Go look.
Yeah.
A lot of times, if it's for sale or been for sale, it's not always there, but often, right down, scroll down, it tells you.
Yep.
Yeah. Right
So
there.
this is a real number. You're not getting around it. So that means if I did a good job with the seller, I just got $40,000 worth of equity in this property. Agreed?
Yeah.
So let me ask you this question. If I got an option agreement, just an option agreement to sell this property at $360 because the seller realizes that they're going to pay that amount of money,
That's what you're going to get.
Is it possible that I could take that option agreement and go put this property on the market, meaning Zillow or wherever you're going to put, Facebook, wherever you want to put this property, Realtor.com, Reddit, any place that you want to put it. right? For $380,000, that would be $20,000 below market value, right?
Sure. Looks good.
I'd make 20 grand, and the buyer would save 20 grand.
Mhm.
Is that a win-win situation? And the owner, the seller's getting full asking price.
Mhm.
What's bad about this? I don't need a license. I don't need an MLS. I don't even need to be in the same state.
Mhm.
I don't know what to say. Why is the realtor system still alive? Why are realtors not doing this?
You know what they're doing instead? I don't know if you heard it. This is just dreadful. They're starting to offer money up front for the listing. Did you hear that one?
No, they have
It's
to because they're sinking like
Yeah.
the Titanic.
Yes, like I'll give you $1,000, $2,000 to have the listing and see if I can sell it. It's a bribe. It's really scary.
Right. Now, the only objection I'm going to hear from you, Peter, and others, which I handled, is what's the difference between us and the realtor? Because a seller might ask you that question. You think a seller's going to ask you that question, but they won't. But you think that. So just head on over to podcast number 429. We did a show on that, a whole hour of the differences between creative real estate offers and realtor offers. We did a whole podcast on it. It's an hour long, right? So be sure to listen to those and take notes so when you're talking to sellers, you can explain the difference. I don't know what else to say. Why would anyone not do this? Now, a complete sales pitch right now. Not for the money, but because of the concept of what Sean and I created. CreativeREIReply.com. For as low as 22 cents a lead, we're gonna get leads for sale by owners, expired, out of area owners, whatever leads you choose. We're gonna put them into your Creative REI Replay account, and for 22 cents, as low as 22 cents a lead, as high as $1.99 a lead, depending on how many leads you buy. Which, by the way, we're not selling for $1.99. I think the highest lead these days is like $1.99.
Yeah.
Right. We started off selling them at $1.99, but anywhere from 22 cents to $1 a lead. We're not only skip tracing the lead and putting them into your account, but we're letting you use our software for free, which is the reason why we stopped selling the software, because you don't need software. You need leads and you need automaticity. We put the leads in your account. When they respond, our AI robot responds, makes you an appointment. If you want to crush it, you go in there and bypass the robot and start calling people on your own, and you just do it even better. But they respond favorably because our texts are very proven. Because not only is it my language, but it's 2 years worth of our students using, or our software users using them, and we've mastered what text to send. The robot then responds and tries to make you an appointment, and then you call them, and then you have a script, you have a calculator so you know which deal to do. When you're all done with the numbers and talking to the seller, even this Grand Slam offer thing I'm telling you about, and the script for the option agreement, all this stuff is in there. When you're all done, you push a button and we print the paperwork for you on any of the deals. Then you set up our selling machine, which takes about the first time it'll take you 15, 20 minutes, but after that, it'll probably take you 10 minutes. You set up the selling machine, which means you put together an ad, you post it on some websites with the right phone number that we give to you, and all of a sudden the leads start coming in, and you manage them from your computer. and you start receiving offers. We do 90% of the work for you. Because the only way you are going to make money in real estate is to have buyers making you offers on your inventory. There is no other way to make money in real estate. No other way to make money in real estate. So what I've done is I've taken all of the hard work on acquiring inventory with the slot deal and the option deal. And I've stated the only reason why any realtor, the only reason why any investor, the only reason why any human being in America is not making money with real estate is because they didn't follow the system, which is test before you invest. And the way you test before you invest is to use an option agreement, and either use an option agreement and you try to get use our Grand Slam offer and get a 36-month agreement and give the seller 70% more than market value for a reward of waiting 3 years. Or, which I didn't even talk about, if the seller's not willing to give you a 10% discount, like we talked about, where you can make $40,000, you tell them, hey, listen, Mr. Seller, here's the deal. If you use the realtor, it'd be 5%, right? Give me a 5% discount, which is a lot better than the realtor, because if the realtor charges them 5%, they're going to go 6 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
Plus. I mean, some of the contracts now, you could be stuck in them for a year.
Yeah.
Especially Berkshire Hathaway. Right? Oh, yeah. Who was at the top of the lawsuit for NAR?
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, Berkshire. It's not called Berkshire Hathaway. He's got a company, American something. It's another company that owns it.
Yeah.
That's what's the name of the stock?
Warren
Buffett.
Warren Buffett.
Right? So here's the thing. If you were to get a 5% discount on a $400,000 house, that means that you would get 20 grand off, right? So instead of getting a $360,000 option agreement, you would get a $380,000 option.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of putting it on the market for $400,000, just put it on the market for $385,000 so you can make $5 grand.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember, the purpose is not to make you $5 grand. The purpose of this deal is to test, not invest. Mm-hmm. You need to do 2, 3, 4, 5 of these deals so you feel comfortable in an area and know what a buyer's willing to pay and where to be. You need to test and get paid for it. But if we list it for $385,000, it's $15,000 below market value. So the buyer's getting a discount. You're making $5 grand, and the seller's getting what they want, which is above market. They're getting 20 grand above what they would get if they sold with a realtor.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting 20 grand more. With a realtor, they're getting $360,000. We're giving them $380,000. Mm-hmm. And we're only putting them in a contract for 3 months. 90 days.
Yep.
Not for 6 months. And if they want to get out of the contract, they just send us a letter. We didn't have any money into it other than our $100 deposit, which, by the way, you could, I don't talk about this much, but you could say, hey, Mr. Seller, if you're canceling the contract, I want my $100 back.
Huh.
And they'll give it to you.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't lose anything.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The point is, you need to test before you invest because you need to know where the money is. Follow the money. If you want to make money, be Hansel or Gretel and follow the breadcrumbs. You need to know where the money is. Now, once you feel comfortable, you can now start doing subject to deals and seller finance deals and lease options. Now you go after money now, money monthly, money later, and you stay in and you retire early.
Yeah.
I mean, what survey could you do that's better than this? Marketing 101. Mm-hmm. Survey the public. find out what's needed and wanted, and then present it. Makes a home run, right?
Yep.
Why aren't we doing this in real estate? Why aren't we servicing the buyer? Why aren't we catering to the buyer? He's the one that's paying us, or she's the one that's paying us.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I'm belaboring this point, but I want everybody listening to me right now to understand this is the gate to the financial heavens. This is the gate that's got you corralled and in and can't get out. This is the fence that you're stuck in and can't even see it. Right? Does this make sense?
Well, this is the solution. I think it's been maybe 2 years now that popped up, where you found that a lot of us were nervous about how much and what if it doesn't sell for that and we don't know the price and the value, blah, blah, blah. So, oh, well, let's see what the buyer would do. So this solves the problem of, I don't know if I can sell it and make money. So I don't know if I can get in the deal. I don't know how to end it. I don't know if I can start it. Well, this way, you know how it ends.
Right.
And then if it does, you don't like the way it ends, you lost $100. Go try again. Move, change the numbers, go somewhere else. It solves that problem of being afraid to do something. I had a deal, and it was like, I had $100 in it. I slept well every night because if it doesn't work out, I don't care. I'll learn something. I'll move on. And when it works, it's great. When it doesn't, like, you got nothing to lose. $100, it's a joke. You don't have to worry. You can make a move. You can make a move forward instead of like, should I, shouldn't I, and all that stuff.
So let's just talk about this at the very end of this podcast. Let's just summarize.
Mm-hmm.
So you give somebody $100. That's all you have to risk.
Yep.
The only thing you are doing. Do you remember when we were kids? I can't remember the name of the show. That dating show. You remember it?
The dating.
Yeah. Remember there was two.
Yeah.
There was guys and girls, and there was a wall in between. What was that called?
The dating game.
The dating game. That's in the 70s. Yeah. We're showing our age, right? Yep. The dating game. What were they doing? Matchmaking.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Girl would talk, guy would answer. Guy would talk, girl would answer. They didn't see one another. They were not making the decision based on how they looked.
Right.
This is exactly what we're doing with our property. We're not making the decision based on how it looks. We're making the decision based on the seller's motivation.
Yeah. We're not moving in to live there. It doesn't matter. Somebody did live there. Somebody will live there. Who cares?
Let our buyer, who's going to pay for it, go look at it, do all of our due diligence, look at the property, tell us everything we need to know, good, bad, and indifferent, right? They're going to be what I call the Clint Eastwood model. They're going to tell us the good, the bad, and the ugly, right?
Okay.
They're going to do the Clint Eastwood thing, good, bad, and the ugly, right? And they're going to tell us all about it.
Yeah.
Right. So now, wait a minute. Let's slow this train down just a little bit, Peter, because just what happened? We have a buyer that says, I'm willing to do this, but not that. I'm willing to do that, but not this. I can close in this time period. I have this much money down. I can afford this much a month. I like the bedrooms, but I need to make sure that the garage door is replaced.
Mm.
Right? What did that buyer just do for you?
He told us what to say to the seller.
Exactly. He made the offer for you. Yeah. And you go back and say, Mr. Seller, right? By the way, if you're getting 5%, does it matter anything? You're still going to get 5% no matter what, right?
Yeah. Well, see, this also answers the huge question. And I posed this to somebody I was on the phone with the other day, like, who decides the price of the house?
The buyer.
Yeah, it's not the seller. It's not the lawyer. It's not the investors. Like, if the buyer's not willing to pay it, like, duh.
Right.
So you got to find out what he's willing to pay. Like, I want so much for my property. Good luck. Congratulations.
I don't talk about this because I don't know that people would, until you do this every day, you may not understand the significance of this.
Mm-hmm.
I talked about it for quite a while on several podcasts, but I don't know if it came across important or not.
Mm-hmm.
But I used to say, how popular is the house?
Yes.
So here's what that means is you're testing, not investing. you put a property on the market with an option agreement or a lease option agreement, one or the other, and you're going to find out how many buyers are available for you to sell this house.
Mhm.
If you get 200 inquiries and 50 people through a house and 10 offers, you know what you need to do? Find another house, because that's a hot market.
Yeah.
If you get 75 people that respond and 10 people that go through the house and no offers, you need to run like hell, or you got a dysfunctional house, or you're too high in the price. You're
Mhm.
too high in the price or dysfunctional. So you should try another house the right way, or just get out of that area.
But you know how to talk to the sellers now, because you got data, evidence, and facts. Because it's not up to anybody but the buyer and the facts.
Last podcast, I did something that I had a huge realization on. What's the definition of wisdom? Do you remember?
It was something like experience, knowledge applied to current circumstance.
Right. Having knowledge and experience that you can use.
Yes, you can make
That's wisdom.
correct decisions, not opinions,
right.
but correct.
So I said on that podcast that we're on information overload. What we're starving for, though, is wisdom.
I think we have opinion overload personally. That isn't information. It's
We're not getting into politics.
No,
So-
I don't even mean that. I mean just anything. You know, blah blah.
Well,
My vitamin is better than your vitamin. You know?
But that's because we don't have enough data evaluation.
Right.
We don't have enough fact checking going on. And the internet has skewed our idea of what fact checking really is.
Well, if you say something often enough, people start believing it.
Remember my prediction.
Mm-hmm.
The world is changing. America is going to come under the sunlight. The politicians, the businesses, the city officials, the state officials are going to have to be like vampires and come out of the darkness, and they're going to be exposed. Because that's what America wants. Tens of millions of Americans, almost 100 million Americans have asked for that. That's a movement.
But you know what also makes it possible? This is kind of crazy, but it's been said that communication is the one thing that will resolve everything, solve all the problems. And nowadays, everything is in a text, an email, or video, a sound bite, and you can go back and see what's actually happened. All the
evidence,
the evidence, all the the secret deals, handshakes. Well, it's sitting somewhere. You can look what you said. You did this, you did that. Like that's not right. Oh, sorry. So you can see it all now.
I know we're 8 minutes past the hour, but the one last thing I want to say before I close this podcast, and these are my opinions, and you can shoot me if you desire. I'm okay. Because I will go to my coffin with these ideas. What has happened is social media has come on board. But there's a problem with social media. The problem with social media is they've induced their theories and not allowed freedom of speech. They ban certain conversations.
Mm-hmm.
But what social media did do is it proved to the world the way to do it, the way the world wants it, is when the audience creates the platform. The audience creates the content. YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, X, all of them are content generated machines from the user. The next generation is going to be that without the restrictions of the provider of the content, the platform. So I think what you're going to start seeing is you're going to start seeing a lot of private influencers with their own platforms that they will control. They aren't going to let YouTube control them, or X control them, or Facebook control them, or LinkedIn, or Instagram, or TikTok, and they're not going to be controlled by a platform. The next generation will be self-platforms generated by the audience. And that is my prediction.
It's like the guy used to stand on the soapbox in town squawking away, but now he can use the internet that can reach the entire world if people will listen.
Yep.
It's just open communication.
Okay, enough of Bill's opinions. I'm sorry I exerted those on you this morning. Hopefully you enjoyed our podcast. Hopefully your eyes are wide open, your ears are tuned into what I'm telling you, and I totally, fully expect that you use this materials. But I promise you, when we go over to the private platform, if you think I'm giving you a lot of information here, oh boy. When I get on, oh yeah, by the way, am I practicing what I just preached?
Oh, yeah, with the private podcast, duh.
I'm coming off of the public platforms and I'm going to generate my own platform. And I could say and do whatever I want over there. There are no rules. So I hope you enjoyed this podcast. I hope you will subscribe to us right now. I hope you will leave us a review, a thumbs up, or whatever you got. And if you have any questions or need any help or have response to any of what I just told you, go over to flippinghousesforrookies.com or creativereireply.com. They're both my platforms, and send a support ticket in and I will respond. You're better off on Creative REI Reply platform these days because I have somebody there that helps me with my support tickets. So you're better off over there, but you choose either one and I will get to you. So thank you for listening. Have a good week. Flourish and prosper. Please like us. Please subscribe, and talk to you on podcast number 434. Over and out.